By the way, I was going to ask you, but I noticed there were a number of words that had like a double trap in last week's parsha. I want you to teach me how to do that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if I'll be able to do it anyway, but okay. There were a couple of them. There were a couple of them that had a double mercha.
A lot of times the Torishas have that.
Yeah, and
then the one that's more prominent, there's more that's one faded, one that's more prominent. The one that's more prominent is the one you pronounce.
Yeah.
For example, if you have it the Shaktan on the Lamed and the Chaf, Elecha. You do Elecha, or you can do Elecha, but nobody does that. It's like a double.
Yeah, it's a double note. The metric is a comma. The metric is something.
You do Barecha or you
Okay. I should tell you my cat is stopping, but I'm singing. Thank you. So, we've been learning about the holiness of speech. אם זה אותו דבר בשבילך, אם אתה תשב פה, זה יהיה יותר קל בשביל הראש שלי. זה בסדר? Thank you. And we started this last week, and the reason that I chose to do this is because last week was perpetuates Shlach, and it was all about the Meraglim speaking the Shon Hara, and now we're going into the month of Tammuz, and you know that the month of where we're remembering very deeply the destruction of the first Beit, the siege of Yerushalayim, and the destruction of the first and the second Beit HaMikdash, which we're praying, Sheyibaneh Beit HaMikdash b'meira b'yameinu, right? We wanted to rebuild quickly in our days. And a lot of people, they say, what is that supposed to mean? What is it going to be like? What's going to happen in Yemot HaMashiach? So once Reb Shlomo was talking, he said, you better sign up for these workshops, now. But he said, don't worry about it, because when Mashiach is going to come, our consciousness will just change, and you don't have to worry about, how am I going to see things? We'll have a whole new perspective. I once asked a relative of Reb Shlomo, Reb Shlomo Carlebach, there's controversy as to whether when we get the Beit HaMikdash, are we going to start doing korbanot again, sacrifices. And there's a couple of different opinions about that. But according to one opinion, the Rambam says that, we're going to go back to the way things were. And years ago, I'm talking about close to 40 years ago, I was really going through a struggle within myself. And I was asking myself, can I see myself, can I visualize myself bringing an animal as a korban chatat, as a sacrifice for something that I did wrong? And I was, in those days, I was like even ashamed to talk to anyone. Like, here's like, like an Orthodox Jew is thinking about whether he can see himself bringing an animal sacrifice or not. Anyway, finally I spoke with Reb Shlomo Carlebach and I told him my dilemma. And he just laughed. I said, why are you laughing? So he says, that's not surprising that you have difficulty seeing it. The amazing thing is that after all these years, we're still davening for the Beit HaMikdash. That we haven't forgotten about it. And what's going to be then? Don't worry about it. Like our consciousness is going to change. There are things that happen in life where, like, all of a sudden, your consciousness changes and so on. So you don't have to worry about that now. But in any case, the whole topic of the Lashon Hara is such a terribly important topic. The Gemara says that generally the Gemara says that there's a pasuk in the Torah that says these are the mitzvot that you're supposed to do, v'chai b'hem, and we're supposed to live with the mitzvot. So, for example, in the case of pikuach nefesh, if somebody's life is in danger on Shabbos, there's no question. You machal Shabbos immediately. You do what you need to do to save the person's life. There's no shyness about that. And so too for all the mitzvot except for 3. I come sit over here, you didn't. I'm glad you're here because I looked up the things that you were asking about yesterday. Okay. So, which are Gilui Arayot, sexual offenses, Avodah Zarah, and shut the door, Gilui Arayot, Avodah Zarah, and the third one is Shfichut Damim, right? Now, there's an exception to that, and that is that if it's a time of Shmad, for example, during the time of the Greeks, when they were out to and also with the Romans, when they were out to destroy our religion, so then we have to have Mesirut Nefesh and even on the smallest mitzvah. But otherwise, so Gilui Arayot, Shfichut Damim, and Avodah Zarah, those 3 are considered that I have to be ready to give my life for them at any time. The Gemara says that Lashon Hara is worse than all 3 together. Can you imagine, like, you're sitting in shul and a guy who just committed a murder comes and sits down next to you, and you'd run away. You find yourself in your seat right away, right? What if somebody who speaks Lashon Hara sits down next to you? Right? Are we going to run away so fast? But it's worse than all 3 together. So here in this particular sikha, what the Rebbe was talking about, and the point that we're at right now is that, first of all, you have to understand that if you talk Lashon Hara against the Jewish people, it's like going to a parent and talking Lashon Hara against their child. Hashem chose this nation, Hashem chose our nation, and Hashem doesn't want to hear any Lashon Hara about us whatsoever. And the first example that he brings is Yeshayahu. Right? And he says, among people whose lips are not pure, and right away a malach comes, goes and takes. Take it from a yad. He gets punished right away. The malach comes and takes a coal from the mizbeach and touches it on his lips and burns his mouth, right? So, and this was, and he was talking to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. He wasn't going and publicizing this to anybody else, So the Baal Shem Tov and all the Hasidic leaders were very, very much against the Magidim, the preachers who would come to town, and they would put up a sign, Magid Bu Le'ir, and people would come, and these were simple folk, and they would first spend a couple of days looking around town and looking and seeing all the things that people were doing that were not good, and then they'd give a Musar talk, And they would describe, like, they would give a tour guide to Gehenna. For this, you're going to burn so long. For this, you're going to burn so long. At this temperature, tzitzot, mangal, etc., sheleg. And the Hasidic rabbis were so against that. So against that. And I told you this. You were here for the story with Reb Shlomo Carlebach?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
With the Maggid, with sharpening the axe. You were here for that story?
Yeah.
No? You were here for the story. It's a good story. Should I tell it again? Yeah.
Story.
Usher, you remember the name of Shlomo Carlebach?
I've heard it.
You've heard of him. Shlomo
He's the author
Carlebach.
of these classes?
Yeah, he was. I wish I would love to meet him. He probably would have come to a mass. He probably fixed me up like 1, 2, 3, But he came the first time he came to the Alter Rebbe. He showed up late at night and he knocks on the Alter Rebbe's door. This is a classic story. And the Alter Rebbe says, "Who's there?" And he says, "Shmuel." So he says, "What do you want?" She said, "I want to stay overnight in your house." The Alter Rebbe says, "Sorry, go to the inn." She says, "No, I want to stay in your house." So the Alter Rebbe says, "Sorry, you can't stay here. Go to the inn." She says, "No, I'm not going to the inn. I want to stay in your house." So the Alter Rebbe says to him, if you don't leave, I'm going to get Alexei, my goy, and he'll throw you out." And Shlomo Carlebach says to the Alter Rebbe, this is all through the door. He says, "My goy is bigger than your goy." So the Alter Rebbe opened the door and let him in. And that's how he became the Chassid of the Alter Rebbe. But it was basically saying to the Alter Rebbe was, "My Yetzer Hara is bigger than yours, and I came here so that you can help me fix things." Anyway, so there's when the Tsar's army, when they came to arrest Alter Rebbe, it was during Sukkot, and there was a possibility of escaping. Now the Alter Rebbe is talking to Shmuel Carlebach and he's asking him for his opinion. Should he escape or should he go through this whole talich with the prison and so on? Because it was basically al min hashamayim. And Shmuel Carlebach said, "Let me tell you a story." And he tells him the following story. So there was a yid, a simple yid. He was a balagoli. A balagoli, you know what that is, yeah? He had a wagon and a horse. And like a taxi driver, but much more difficult. A taxi, you fill up gas. A balagoli, you got to do more than that. And the way they would make a living is like 4:00 in the morning. They already had to be at the train stations, to pick up their customers early in the morning. So he never got to daven and shul. He never with a minyan except for Shabbos and so on. And so one day his Rebbe tells him, "Beryl, enough. You're already an older man. You never get a chance to daven, to learn. So sell your horse, sell your wagon, and so you'll have a chance to daven, to learn." So this man is a simple yid, is a simple chassid. So his Rebbe told him, "Sell the horse, sell the wagon." So he went ahead and he sold it. And Baruch Hashem, he's happy. He can come to shul, he can come to minyan. One day the Rebbe comes into the Bismedrish. He says, "Beryl, quick, go hitch up the horse and the wagon. I got to go somewhere." So he says, "Rebbe, I don't have a horse and wagon anymore. You told me to get rid of it." So he says, "Listen, I told you, so go to your friends, borrow a horse and a wagon. We got to go somewhere." So he goes to his friends, the other Bali and he borrows the horse and the wagon. And the Rebbe gets in, and they're riding out of town, and they're going down a steep hill. And at the bottom of the hill, there's a big curve. The Rebbe says, "Faster, faster." And Beryl says, "Rebbe, there's a dangerous curve at the bottom. If we go any faster, it's push it dangerous." She says, "I'm the Rebbe, I'm telling you what to do." Okay, so the chassid cracks the whip, and the horses start galloping. Sure enough, they get to the bottom of the hill at the curve. The axle breaks, the horses go one way, and the wagon keeps going straight and crashes right into the big picture window of this perpetuates and all of a sudden they're inside his living room with the wagon, and this poet is sitting there with his big dog and with his gun, and all of a sudden he sees a Chassidic Rebbe and his wagon driver in his living room, picks up the gun and he points to that barrel that the wagon driver is going to shoot. The barrel says, no, not me, him. So the poet points the gun at the Rebbe. A miracle of miracles, the gun didn't go off, and they got out of there. On their way back home, the Rebbe says to the barrel, some chassid you are. She points the gun at you and you tell him to shoot me. So he says, Rebbe, let me tell you. You told me to sell my horse and wagon. I sold my horse and wagon. You come in a few months later, you say, get a horse and wagon, we got to go somewhere. I listen to you, get a horse and wagon. We're riding out there and we're going downhill and you say, faster, faster. And I tell you, Rebbe, it's too dangerous. And you say, I'm the Rebbe, you do what I tell you. So I listen to you. So when the poet picked up his gun, I figured like this. If you're a Rebbe, you have nothing to worry about. And if not, you deserved it. So that's the story that Shmuel Munkus said aloud to Rebbe. He said, if you're a Rebbe, you don't have to worry about going to prison. And if you're not, you deserve it. Because you took away our Olam Hazeh. You know, we don't have any, with your teachings, we don't enjoy the Olam Hazeh anymore, right? And so if you're a Rebbe, we trust you that you're going to get us to Olam Haba. So if you're a Rebbe, you don't have to worry about going to prison. And the Rebbe agreed, and he let himself be arrested. And anyway, so that's what happened there. So anyway, so the story with Shmuel Munkus is that, I'll tell you another one. You guys don't know this, but I remember, you know, when I was a kid in Lubavitch in Montreal, it was like, you know, among all the different Hasidic groups, Lubavitch was the last one to start making a decent living, you know. And so I used to see like the Hasidim on Shabbos when they would have a Farbrengen. You know what a Farbrengen consisted of, Osher?
Mashke.
A bottle of 6 sugar, you know, like you know, what Shlivovitz, that was expensive. This is 6 sugar, it's like alcohol, you know, like Mamish 96 proof. And they had like a herring on the table that you could smell till Wednesday, you know, from Shabbos.
Pickle. And
they had a jar of pickles. And then when you would take a shot of the mashke, you would drink some of the pickle juice like for bison, you know, or if there was some kichalach. And that was it for bringing, and if it was a fancy for bringing that you would be able to, not in those days, there was no kugel, but there may be some kichalach. And that was it. And they would sit there for bring, and there was always at the Farbrengen, there was somebody in charge to make sure that they didn't put all the food on the table, because if they put the food on the table at once, the Farbrengen would be over in 15 minutes and everybody would go home. So the person in charge would, like, you know, his job was to drink a little bit of food, a little bit of food, a little bit of food. So one day there's a Farbrengen in Liozhne by the Alter Rebbe, and Shmuel was in charge of bringing the food out. Now the butcher had made a nice contribution. He contributed a plate of broiled chicken lungs. And everybody smelled it, and they were just waiting for that to be served. But being that it was something so special, he was keeping it to the end, you know. Anyway, the Farbrengen's going down, and they start saying, Shmuel, come on, bring it out already. Where's the Geburt in the Lingen? And soon. Anyway, family goes to get it, and everybody's like really excited about it. And all of a sudden, he starts to dance with the plate in his hand. And he starts teasing everybody, and he brings it close to somebody. They're about to take a piece. He dances away from them, and he's mamish, like, you know, he's getting everybody like really mad, and they're ready to get up and tackle him. And he goes and he takes the plate, and he smashes it into the garbage. and garbage was garbage, So now they're really angry at him, and they decided to give him a special Hasidic treatment. It's called a mashkanta. You know what that is? None of you know? You also don't know? You're another generation. Mashkanta, what is a mashkanta in the bank?
Mortgage.
A mortgage. In other words, what's a mashkanta? In other words, a mashkon, right? You lend somebody money and you want to make sure they're going to pay back, so you take collateral, right? So by Hasidim, mashkanta is that when somebody was really misbehaving, they'd put him on the table and everybody would line up and they gave him a good zetz. What do you call that kind of a touch?
Oh,
Ralphing, right? The command is to reach him deep inside. Anyway, so they take Shmuel and they put him on the table and they gave him a mishkanta. He doesn't say a word. We finish giving him the mishkanta, the butcher runs in. Where are those chicken livers, the gebrutene lungen? And they say, the crackpot, he threw them in the garbage. He threw them in the garbage? Thank God. I just found out that they were treif. So they say to Shmuel, the Travis Mafsim, you're doing miraculous things. And in the Lubavitch, nobody's allowed to do any Maftim except for the Rebbe. So they gave him another mishkanta. So then they said to him, now you tell us how you knew that those lungs were treif. And if you don't tell us, you're getting another mishkanta. So he had no choice. He said like this, when I came to the Alter Rebbe, the reason I came is because my Yetzer Hara was huge. It was like a furnace. And I asked the Alter Rebbe, do me a favor, take my Yetzer Hara away. And the Alter Rebbe told me, I won't take your Yetzer Hara away because you need your Yetzer Hara to serve Hashem. But I give you a bracha that he won't be as fiery as he's been until now. And the bracha worked. But when I picked up that plate of chicken lungs, that Yetzer Hara was back like in the good old days. So I knew there's something wrong. And that's how I knew. Anyway, so the kids are, I don't want to spend all the time on stories, but so one day a Maggid came to his town and he's giving the people Musar and they're crying, and it was during the month of Elul. It was usually during Elul that, before Yamim Noraim, before the high holidays. So the Maggid is like mamish letting the people have it, like geferlich, and the whole town is in tears. So later at night, the Maggid is in his room at the inn, and there's a knock on the door. It's Shmuel Munkes. Can I come in? Yes, you can come in. Sits down, doesn't say a word, takes out an axe, and he starts sharpening the axe. The Maggid is looking at him, wondering, like, what did you come for, Doesn't say a word, keeps sharpening the axe. Finally, after a few minutes of sharpening the axe, the Maggid says, no, what did you come for? So he says, well, we're very ignorant people over here. We don't know very much. Keeps sharpening the axe. So the Maggid says, so? So he says, well, one thing my father did teach me, that during the month of Elul, it's a good thing to go to Kivrei Tzadikim and to daven by Kivrei Tzadikim. And he keeps sharpening the axe. So the Maggid says, so? So he says, well, if I want to go daven by the Kever of a Tzadik, I have to make a 3-day trip because there are no Tzadikim buried in our town. And he keeps sharpening the axe. And the Maggid says, so? So he says, I thought it would be a good idea to have a Tzadik in our cemetery. He's getting the point. So he says, I'm not a tzaddik. And Shmuel keeps sharpening the axe. He says, no, you're a tzaddik. I heard you talking tonight. You're a tzaddik. He says, no, I'm not a tzaddik. And I said, no, I heard you talking. You're a tzaddik. So he says, I did this and this avera. We never even heard of such a thing. But I also did this and this. That's nothing. And he starts giving a whole confession. and his mom is crying real tears. And finally Shmuel puts the axe down and he says, don't you ever dare talk like that to your brothers and sisters again. Don't you ever dare come and talk like that. Anyway, so the Magidim used to come, like, that's how they operated, right? So the Rebbe in this Sikha is saying, like, what are you doing? You're talking Russian Hara against Am Yisrael. Nothing better to talk about, right? And what the Rebbe is going on to speak about over here is, first of all, the Mishnah says, and what you asked about yesterday, I don't know if you looked it up in Ketubot. So there's a machlokes there, but ta'abid vav mishnah chozer or not, which means that if a bezdin made a psak halacha, they gave a ruling, but it contradicts a mishnah. So chozer, another bezdin changes the ruling. It's a machlokes. If you could change it, if you can't change it. So the Rebbe is saying over here is like this: we're on daf rejayin vav. So even though when it says judge everybody favorably, and it's in Turkey Avot, so the Rebbe is referring to this as a halacha. He's saying that it's not a halacha, but you have to judge people with kaf zchut. You put that. Okay? And also, top of Reisha and Zion, he says, same page. This is, he is referring to as a halacha. So ta'abid bar mishnah chozer, and the way he's using ta'abid bar mishnah chozer, he's saying is, if you made a mistake and you judged somebody not the kaf zchut, or if you made a mistake and you didn't judge them, and you judged them before shatab b'mkomo, before you're in their shoes, so you got to know it's a mistake and change your ways. Okay. So now he says like this. So the part beginning haderech to kiruv, the way to be mekar of people, on page Reisha and Zayin. Haflaat hasachar al kiyum hamitzvot. What you need to do is really you need to put people in touch with the great reward for doing a mitzvah. She says, Vahikar, the main thing is, speaking about things that are not desirable, that's the only reason that you talk negatively about anybody or about yourself, because that means you're on the negative side of the good midot. And the Rebbe says that pointing out negative things is totally not productive. Ki ha'hashpa'al azulot lehitiv et dako tiyaseh b'zrizut yetera. If you want to have an influence on someone to improve his way of living, it will be done much faster, b'yeter se'et b'yeter oz, with much more effectively, when you speak to the person in a pleasant way, in a peaceful way, speak to them about how wonderful it is, the great reward that you're going to have in keeping the mitzvot. In keeping the mitzvot. Now, when you show a person, when a person sees how good it is to do a mitzvah, so then memele he's going to stay away from doing something negative. And simply speaking, the best way and the most effective way to influence someone to improve their ways, is when you explain to them the great gift of Bechlal of being a Yid. שביכולתו להגיע למעמד המצב נעלה ביותר. By explaining to him that you, whoever you are, you might be a rabbi, you might be a guy selling tomatoes in the shuk, it doesn't matter. You might even be a guy sweeping the streets of Yerushalayim. You, every single one of us, is capable of doing something really awesome. ועד לפסק דברי הרמב"ם, the way the Rambam rules, שעל ידי מצווה אחת בלבד, just by doing one mitzvah, הכריע את עצמו ואת כל העולם כולו לכף זכות. You shift yourself and the whole world into the positive space, into the positive dish. In other words, one mitzvah that we're doing right now, we're sitting and learning, okay? Not only is the Shekhinah present, but this could be changing Hashem's decision in a positive way for the benefit of the entire world. Okay? Umuvan, and it's understood, Shepsak din harambam, that when the Rambam makes a ruling, lo kai al tzaddik gamur dafka. He's not talking about it. He's not talking about somebody who's a tzaddik that does a mitzvah. Ki mefurash barambam, because the Rambam says clearly, shetzarich kol adam sheyireh atzmo. Every person should see himself, v'chen kol haolam, and to see the whole world. Chatzio zakai v'chatzio achayav. Imagine that at this moment, myself, the whole world, will chatzi zakai, chatzi chayav. Have guilt, 50% guilty, 50% positive, right? And whatever you're going to do is going to tip the scales. If you're going to do something positive, it will tip in the positive direction, right? And this is for every Yid he's talking. ואם כן מדובר כאן אודות יהודי שנמצא במעמד ומצב שיש לו מחסה זכויות ומחסה עבירות. So we're talking to a Yid who might at this moment be 50% mitzvot, 50% transgressions. ואף על פי כן, and nevertheless, עשה מצווה אחת, as soon as he does one mitzvah, הכריע את עצמו ואת העולם כולו לכף זכות. He's tipped the scales for himself and for the whole world in a positive direction. וגרם לו ולהם תשועה והצלה, and he's caused them, he's brought them salvation and being saved. Now, anybody here ever learned the Sefer Chovat HaTalmidim from the p.6? No? Shematem alav? You've heard about the p.6 Rebbe? Yeah? You've heard about him?
I think
So he had,
it's a bit of it.
so he had a yeshiva that he started in the early 20s in Poland, in Warsaw. p.6 is a suburb of Warsaw. How do you say suburb? Sfar? Suburb is Sfar? No, not Sfar. Parvar. Okay. Right. And in those years, there was it wasn't a new thing, but basically about 100 years before that already, there was a whole movement, even earlier than that, known as the Haskalah, which means enlightenment, so-called. And this was Jewish people that they thought that the solution to the Jewish problem, to all the pogroms, etc., was going to be when Jews would start getting out of the ghettos and living more like the Goyim. Study with the Goyim, study, etc., etc. And they basically, especially in Poland, the Bund, they were very communist. They were even anti-religious. And there was actually a different shittas. Reb Shlomo Hirsch said that in the schools in Germany they started studying the sciences and math and so on. The Chassam Sofer was totally against bringing anything new into the curriculum. He said Chadash Asur min haTorah. And today, every I mean, most schools, even the religious schools, you learn how to write, you learn the language of the country, you learn mathematics and so on. Maybe not in Muncie, but as a matter of fact, there's an organization now in New York called Footsteps that their whole purpose is to help people who grew up in the Haredi world to learn how to, who don't want to be part of it anymore. They help them get into school and to learn, to get a high school degree so they can go to university and so on. And you can see that they have things on YouTube. So the issue of it's a real issue one way or the other, but whichever opinion you take, you're making a decision about this question. How do you raise your children to be God-fearing Jews in the midst of a sea of non-observance of a secular world? So one attitude is make a ghetto, build walls, and don't, so for example, it's an amazing thing over here. You have over here both Iran, both Israel, in these places, and speak to some of the older people, and today nobody's there besides the media. They're not really being attacked, but when you told me that when they would walk from here, from what they run, when they would walk to their school to Yafo, they would get attacked. People would grab their hats and throw them away because the early Zionists were not. I'm talking about in the 40s and the 50s. They were not into religious Jews. Anyway, how do you raise kids in a milieu where 5 minutes away from your house or 3 minutes away from your house? I don't know if anybody's been in the shuk lately at night and so on. How do you like they used to walk through the shuk at night, these Haredi, but they can't walk through the shuk anymore. So how do you raise your kids to be Shomer Torah and mitzvot when all around you see an environment that is not like that? In Chutz La'aretz, for a kid who grew up in a religious community is usually more difficult to leave because over there it means going from a Jewish community to a non-Jewish community, usually. Over here, to go from being religious to not religious, I'm going from one Yid to another Yid. So it's not as difficult over here to switch camps. Anyway, so this is an issue. And this morning in the yeshiva, somebody asked me, let's say you're giving a talk to a group of Jews that are like American Jews that, they don't know about Torah and mitzvahs and so on. How would you talk about Shabbos? How would you talk about any mitzvah? How would you even talk about the idea of mitzvah? How do you talk to somebody? The word mitzvah means commandment. As a matter of fact, I used to teach in a conservative school in Montreal, at a Solomon Schechter school. I was teaching grade 7, and one day I needed to talk about mitzvot. So in my talk, I said, mitzvot, commandments. I wanted to see if anybody's going to react. So about 15 minutes later, this girl picked up her hand and she says, "Did you say commandments for mitzvot?" I said, "Yes." So she says, "That's funny, because all our years we were told that mitzvah." So I said, "Yeah, mitzvah is a good deed." She says, "Yeah, but a good deed and a commandment doesn't mean the same thing." I said, "What's the difference?" She says, "A good deed, if I want to do it, I do it. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it. But a commandment means that I'm supposed to do it." So he said, "Yes." As a matter of fact, when I was interviewed for the job at that school, I was the only Hebrew teacher that the rabbi of the shul, of the synagogue, came to the interview. We had Israeli teachers there. One was a hairdresser, one was this, one was that. לא משנה, את מדברת עברית, את מדברת כיתה ה'. אבל אני הייתי ספרית בתל אביב, לא משנה, את מדברת עברית, So So he comes to the interview, he says to me, he says, what are you going to tell the kids about Shabbat? So what do you think I told him? So I'm going to tell them what it says in the Torah. No, you're a rabbi, what did you expect me to answer? So he changes his, he says, what are you going to do when a kid picks up his hand and says, but we don't keep Shabbat? So he said, I'm going to tell the kid you should have a lot of respect for your parents. Maybe they're not keeping it, they want you to be informed. So that when you grow up one day, you'll be able to make an informed decision. So at that point he got up and left the interview. Okay? But the question really is, what do you tell a Jew who doesn't understand the concept of a mitzvah? Now you know that nowadays there's a lot of kiruv organizations. When I was in yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, in the Litvish yeshiva in Toronto, and the Rebbe started Miftzat Tefillin during the 6-Day War. You know, in Satmar and everywhere else, everybody was like, "What are you doing? Putting on tefillin with Yidden who don't keep Shabbos and this and that?" And they would make fun of the Lubavitch, like places like it became like a battle. There was actually fights in Williamsburg, against the Lubavitchers. And eventually they made peace, Baruch Hashem. But so one day I got a call. The Reb Riskin has an organization where he trains rabbis and chazanim who are going to work in Chutz La'aretz. You might want to get smicha there. And if you ever want to go be a chazan in America or whatever about tefillah. Anyway, so they had a panel discussion on kiruv. Now, you should know that whenever a Yid went to the Lubavitch Rebbe, and the Rebbe would say, what do you do? And if you say, I work in kiruv chokim, bringing Jews who are far, bringing them close, the Rebbe would say, there's no such thing as a Jew that is far. And he never used that word kiruv, and he never called a Jew chiloni. Also, Reb Shlomo wouldn't do that. As a matter of fact, there's Reb Shlomo used to say, how do you know who's closer to God? Maybe this guy that you're trying to do to get him to do a mitzvah, maybe he's closer to God than you are. You're maybe observant, maybe you're Shemar Torah mitzvahs. Doesn't mean that you're closer to God. Maybe this person has a conversation with God once a year that's really personal and he really means it, and maybe you're davening every day and you never really spoke to God, So don't talk about closer, Anyway, and Reb Shlomo also wouldn't allow us to use the word chiloni. A Jew is Yehudi, and Yehudi is the name of the Kodesh Baruch. So I'm connecting this with the p.6, remember, Sefer Chovata Talmidim, but the Rebbe is saying over here also. So a lot of kids back in the 1920, 1925, a lot of Jewish kids were leaving the yeshivot. Masses. Because the boom schools, they would say, we have Jewish culture, we have theater, we don't hit, you can have a good life with us. And a lot of Jewish kids were leaving and they were no longer trusting their rabbis, their teachers, guide them. So the p.6 wrote the sefer called Chovata Talmidim, where he basically talks about chinuch, and he says, listen, since you guys, this generation doesn't really look up to the teachers anymore for leadership, for guidance, so let me tell you what you need to know about yourself. What are the character traits that you're going to have to deal with if you want to succeed in becoming the best person that you want to be? And he talks about all kinds of problems. He talks about joy. He talks about laziness. He talks about ta'avot. But basically, in his introduction, he says the most important thing that you have to know is you have to know who you are. And that you are B'nei Melachim. Im lo nevi'im atem b'nei nevi'im atem. If you're not a Navi, you're a descendant of a Navi. If you're not a melech, you're a ben melech. Know who you are. You are royalty. Okay, now go stand in Rehov Yaf and start telling people that. They're going to look at you like, what do you mean? Now, he has an interesting parable there. He says there was this schlepper, a counselor, used to go around every day asking people for money. One night he wakes up screaming and crying. His wife says, what's the matter? He says, I just had a nightmare. She says, what did you dream? He says, I dreamt I'm the king. So she says, so what's that a nightmare? She says, now I have to go snore for the whole city? So the assessor says, get it into your head. It's a different consciousness. It's not that we're trying to tell you, now you're going to have to do more of this and more of this and more of this. We're talking about having, what's your consciousness? You know who you are. So how do you find out who you are? So the Alter Rebbe in the Hakdama of the second book of the Tanya, Shara Yichud V'Emunah, he gives a meditation. And the meditation is basically like this. And you're familiar with the meditation. We've done it already a couple of times. Okay? You're presenting yourself. And every time you're presenting yourself, you start with, I am, etc. Right? And the rule is, you keep on doing this again and again and again. And the rule is, A, it has to be honest, whatever you're saying. And B, you can't repeat anything you already said. So whether it's going to take you 5 times or 10 times or 15 times, we're all going to come to the same place. After you've finished presenting yourself totally from a superficial level, okay, you're going to come to the place where I am, anybody want to finish the sentence? I am an neshama. I am a neshama. In other words, after you've finished, I'm a teacher, I'm a businessman, I'm a this, I'm a that. After you finish with all the external stuff, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a mother. After you're going deeper and deeper and deeper, you finally come to the place where you realize, I am a neshama. And that is true for everybody. Right? Everybody comes to that place. So now we go deeper in meditation, and we're talking about meditation. We're not just talking about words. We're talking about actually thinking about this. Okay? When you go deeper into meditation, so if I'm a neshama, who is the I of my neshama? Hu ha'ani shel ha'ani. Who is the I of my neshama? Anybody want to answer? Makara. It's Hashem. The I of your neshama is Hashem. In other words, your neshama is a chelik elokah mima'al. No matter what anybody told you in Hebrew school, if you went to Hebrew school, or if you didn't go to Hebrew school, it doesn't matter. If you would anybody would take the time to actually think about this and meditate on this, everybody's going to come to the same conclusion. I have a neshama. That's my essence, is my neshama. And who is my neshama? Who is the essence of my neshama? Is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So then, you love yourself, right? You love yourself. As long as you're normal, you love yourself. So who is the self that you love? Right? Who is the self that you love? Right? Is it my stomach that I love? Is that myself? Is it my hands? Is it my body? My, like with all the muscles, etc. Is that who I love? I used to do weightlifting, and my father once told me. My father always told me, he says, you're preparing a good restaurant for the bugs in the earth. They're going to have a lot more to eat. Okay, it's like perspective. Like, okay, good, be healthy, be strong. There's no question about it. But is this who I'm devoting my life to? This body? Is that me? It says, "Kivo Yerani Ha'adam B'chai." Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, man doesn't see, cannot see God and stay alive. So it says in this form that at the moment that the soul leaves the body, we do see Hashem. And at that moment, where it's mamish, it could be the most biggest embarrassment in the world, when we realize that what I spend my life worshiping my body, and I let go of my real connection, chas v'shalom. So everybody has a neshama, and there are ways of being in touch with your neshama. Okay? So then when a person is in touch with his neshama, then and don't think that a non-religious Jew can be any less in touch with his soul than the holiest seed. And that's when Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Va'ish Moshe anav gadol me'od mikol ha'adam asher al pnei ha'adamah." Right? That's the correct pasuk, right? You're about there, right? How was he such a big anav? Moshe Rabbeinu, did you stand on Mount Sinai or did I stand on Mount Sinai? You stood there. How could you be more humble than me? Because he realized, like, your neshama, my neshama, we're no less than his. Maybe it's a higher level neshama, but it's still a chelik elokam yimal, and there's no differentiation on neshama. Okay? So when a person gets in touch with his neshama, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. And that's what the Rebbe is saying over here, is that when you want to help somebody improve their life, don't talk to him about hell. He doesn't believe in it anyway. And just because you're going to tell him about it, so what? It's not going to make a difference to him. Okay? That's not going to make him change his ways. He's heard about hell. He knows about it. Okay? It's not going to change because of that. But when you're in touch with your soul, and you realize that, wow, there's so much more beauty to life. There's so much more. There's so much of a better way to live. That's how you're going to make a difference to people in people's lives, right? Shlomo, he used to invite hundreds of people for Shabbos. And one day Julie and I were going to the Moshav for Shabbos, and I invited a co-teacher who was in Israel to come to Shabbos. And somebody comes up to me and says, "How could you do that? You know they're going to drive." So I went and I asked. I went and I asked Reb Shlomo. So he said, "Look, while we're going to be here, we're not going to be Mechal Shabbos, and the Shazma, and if they get a good taste of Shabbos, maybe next Shabbos they're going to keep more." And he told me that this, even though in Shulchan Aruch, in fact, the opinion in Shulchan Aruch is not really like that. In other words, you're not supposed to leave someone to do Chilul Shabbos. But he told me that there were rabbis who allowed Yidden to come on Shabbos, even though they knew that they were coming by a horse and wagon or whatever. There was a story. There was a Yid who used to come to the Farbrengens by the Lubavitcher Rebbe on Shabbos by car. And the Rebbe knew. And the Rebbe didn't say anything to him. Then one day he came up to the Rebbe and said, "L'chaim." The Rebbe said, "Okay, the time has come. Give me your car keys." It was the right time. So the guy took out his car keys and gave it to the Rebbe, and he gave it back to him after Shabbos. In other words, if you're not like that, if you don't know what's the right time, so the Rebbe knew he's coming. He didn't go and tell him, "Listen until you stop driving on Shabbos." Anyway, so this is what he's saying over here, and what he's saying is that there's so much good stuff, right? And remember what happened to Yeshayahu. He's not even talking Lashon Hara to anybody else. He's just talking with Hashem. And as soon as he said something negative about the people, his lips got burned. Right? So the same thing Rav Nachman says, since you're reading a Zamra, we finished this thing with a Zamra. Rav Nachman, and this whole thing that this whole shir that we just had now, you will see it in a Zamra too. Okay, you'll tell me tomorrow.
Read it.
It's very important to do this with yourself. Because what does the Yetzer Hara do? He says, he comes to me, he says, Shulam, Lishon Azah Shaygis, Nachlus Gastin Nachamot Probirim. You're already such a shaygis, you already did so many Avelis. Well, you're gonna burn in hell anyway. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a big tzaddik. He didn't know if he's going to Gan Eden or to Gehenna. And he was crying before he died. You have any doubts about where you're going? Shulam. And the answer is, Yetzer Hara. You know why you're called Yetzer Hara? Because you're not my friend. You don't mean anything good. You're not interested in my good. You just want me to you're here just so that I should have free choice. So this is, one thing away from this today, and that is try for 5 minutes a day, or for 3 minutes a day, or even for 1 minute a day, to actually sit and think about the fact that I'm a neshama. This is the essence of my being. I need Yeshli neshama, and that the essence of my neshama is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Just think about that. Just meditate on that. It's going to change your life. Okay, hope to see you tomorrow. Kol Tov.